In this video, I'll go over how to add Siri to your AirPort Express AirPlay 2 HiFi setup, which we created in the last video. So if you haven't seen that yet, click up here or in the link down in the description. Admittedly, this is a very specific thing to want to do. So it's understandable that Apple hasn't provided a straightforward instruction on how to go about this, thus the existence of this video. There were some comments on my last AirPort Express HiFi video wondering about adding voice control to the setup, namely through a HomePod Mini, Apple's only smart speaker on the market currently. Because we are already dealing with a 10-year-old router with a headphone jack on the back, you can imagine this won't be as straightforward as you would think from a brand like Apple, who's known for their ease of use. But I am happy to report that there is a way. Before we get into that, I just want to preface this for anyone weighing the idea of using Siri with this method versus a Alexa or Google. Those methods are going to be a lot cheaper and easier to set up because they already have headphone jacks on the back of the smart speaker itself. So you've got the whole package right in here. There's no reason to do this setup and there's no reason to watch this video. It's so easy. I used Echo Dots for my multi-room audio for a couple of years before switching over to this Siri setup just recently. So if you're looking for cost to performance, an Echo Dot or a Google Home Mini is going to be the cheaper and easier option. So I just wanted to preface that for those on the fence about whether to use Siri or a different digital assistant. But if those options are cheaper and easier, then why use Siri? Why stick with Apple? Well, there are three main benefits. Number one, the Apple ecosystem. If you are a predominantly Apple household, then this is going to be extremely easy to use with the built-in AirPlay menu on your iDevices. It's going to be accessible and controllable from any iDevice with your iCloud account attached. Number two, you can use it on its own. Because we're going to be using Apple's smart speaker, the HomePod Mini can be controlled and used while your HiFi Stereo is off because it's not connected with the same 3.5mm jack as the other smart speakers. This is more important than you'd think. As you'll discover, you'll want to use your digital assistant while your stereo is off. And the very nature of this setup means that you probably have expensive and or vintage hi-fi equipment, in which case you can't just leave those items on 24/7 without upping your fire insurance at least. So you can't use Alexa and Google while the stereo is off because the audio is attached, so you won't hear their response. But with the HomePod, through this setup that we're going to do, you can use the HomePod on its own and have the option to use it with the stereo when you want it. So it's a lot more flexible. I use it quite a bit just for controlling lights in my house, setting timers while I'm cooking. It's very convenient. All the usual things that a HomePod Mini owner would use it for if they never even heard about this HiFi setup thing. It's still a good product. And number three, you can control the music from your iDevice as well after you've made your selection with voice control. While I was using Echo Dots for my multi-room audio, I could give it a voice command, but afterwards there was no way through the Alexa app to quickly edit my selection while it was playing. I couldn't just toggle on shuffle mode or anything like that. But with the Apple integration, with the iDevice's AirPlay menu, you can toggle the music and change any setting that you'd like, just as if it was playing on your phone with the same Apple experience that you're used to. So if you're still with me, then I'm going to assume that you've decided you're going the Siri route and there's no going back. Now that that's all established, there's a problem, which you may or may not have experienced yourself. In my last video, we set up the AirPort Express to be an AirPlay 2 receiver. What happens when you ask Siri to play something to the name of your AirPlay receiver? She says something like this. Play music on Yamaha speakers.
Sorry, I couldn't find that speaker.
What this means is that the AirPlay 2 connection as it stands is not enough to connect with Siri. For that, we need HomeKit, and that's where the HomePod Mini comes in. If you haven't set up HomeKit before, there are plenty of tutorials out there, so I'm not going to get into that here, but let me know in the comments if you have any questions you'd like answered about this setup in HomeKit. Okay, so once you're in HomeKit, the obvious thing is to add an accessory. Then click More Options, and if your AirPort Express pops up here, then perfect. You're not only lucky, you're done. Just add the device like any other HomeKit accessory, set which room you want it in, etc. But for me, none of this happened. When I tried to add the accessory, it just didn't show up. I needed to set some specific settings for the AirPort Express via the AirPort utility, which I will show you now. First, open AirPort utility. I'm using my iPhone, but you can use whatever you like. Select your AirPort Express, then select the edit button in the top corner. Select internet connection, And we're going to need the IP address to be static. So set it to static, hit done. Next, select advanced, and then go into the top option IPv6. Tap configure IPv6 and make sure this is set to link only local. Hit back and hit done. Hit done again. Once these settings are set, just click update in the top right to send the updated settings over to your AirPort Express. Now when we go to HomeKit, we should be able to add an accessory, hit more options, and see the AirPort Express pop up here. Once you've gotten it to pop up, add it as an accessory, select the room that you would like it to be in, etc., etc. Now, once your AirPort Express is added into HomeKit, you can now ask Siri to play music on that device, just like with an Apple TV or HomePod. You can also ask a HomePod to play to it. Since it's now using the HomeKit hub to relay that information through the Home app instead of just the AirPlay menu. Now we can achieve full voice control with Siri over our stereo using the HomePod Mini. We can ask Siri to play whatever we want on the specific speaker, and we can also ask Siri to play everywhere. So it'll play on all the audio accessories in your home. We can also control whatever is playing through the AirPlay quick menu with the Now Playing feature with just a tap. You can quickly control all of the settings that you would normally be able to control on your iDevice, whether that be your iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Mac, etc. So this feature to me is very much worth this whole setup and how much, headache it might be. And that brings me to my final point. The cost. While it is definitely more expensive to buy one of these and one of these versus just one of these, I bought my AirPort Express A1392s on eBay for about $36 US, and HomePod minis can usually be found for less than their $99 price tag if you start looking around at other websites, especially for a used one. That is to say, even though this is more money, it's not ridiculously more, especially when you consider the fact that the cheapest receiver I could find with AirPlay 2 built in is about $450. That and the Belkin Soundform Connect being $99 US and basically doing what this does means that this is a first party option and cheaper. So for my money, I don't mind this setup at all. Let me know if you have any questions at all about my Apple HiFi setup and how it all comes together, and I'll do my best to answer them in the comments down below or in a future video. Also, feel free to comment below with your own Apple AirPlay setups. As always, thanks for watching. Peace.